Hello and welcome to another episode of the Unscripted, the official podcast of the number 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament that's coming up. That is the Michigan State Spartans. I am your host, Carter Elliott, and I'm here with my co-host, Greg Waddell. Greg, I know you usually say you're doing well, but are you still doing well today? You still all right?
I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there. Rough week for the Michigan Wolverines, clearly. Great week for Michigan State. I'm excited to talk about it with you. Big Ten tournament, good draw, double bye, and teams playing awesome right now, man. It's good to see.
Yeah, definitely good to see. I think the Big Ten tournament is going to be interesting, and we're going to get into that shortly here. But I know we talked off air, Greg, about possibly some words that you maybe want to get out there, kind of get out of the way before we get on here. We need to come with a clean slate, clean air, and clear heads when we go into this episode. So anything you want to throw out there?
Well,
it's not the time.
I feel like we're still kind of dancing around it, but I just I thought we should address some of the back and forth between quote unquote Michigan State Twitter and yours truly, myself, here in the last 48 hours or so. We're recording this on a Monday night. You and I were in Purdue for Purdue, Illinois. Purdue cuts down the nets. We're making the final episode, season finale of our College Hoops to Go series. And Michigan was playing for their lives. We were having a great time at Purdue bars. And, I'm watching my team season end. Season essentially ends when they lose that game, blow another lead. I'm emotional, never emotional tweet, but a lot of words were exchanged. A lot of things were said. And I feel like there's some drama there. Is that fair to kind of like tee it up? Like, I feel like you should sort of frame what you saw from your end, and then I'll comment on my side of it in a moment.
Yeah, I just think it was to me, it's a kind of overblown, I guess. I mean, I see what I guess was being, it was just high emotions. You probably tweeted some things that were maybe you wouldn't say, I don't know, maybe you would say, but it's not like, but when I say something like that, it makes it seem like what you said was just so like God awful. But it just kind of became nasty. Some accounts said like more personal things, and it just, I don't know. I'm bad with conflict. You know how that is. You know how I operate with that. I don't get in it.
It's so funny though, because I think you might be right that you're bad with conflict in like this type setting where we're just like talking about it, but you're also like the most violent person I know when it comes down to it. And like, I feel like that alone means you're good with content or conflict, you know? Am I wrong there?
No, that's probably somewhat right. But what I want to say about the situation is that there were some things said, and you could say I'm defending my co-host here, but I'm defending my good friend Greg here. He knows his stuff, okay? He has this platform to talk about it for a reason, among the many other platforms that he has. So you can agree with what he says, disagree with what he says. It really does not matter. But he is a person that knows the game of basketball and has a platform to talk about basketball. And if you want to attack him about him having a platform or get mad at him having a platform, I mean, I don't really know what you want to get out of that. But I mean, someone said something about you wearing a Purdue jersey when we're on a College Hoops to Go season where we wear the team campus that we go to jersey. So that's when I realized that people are just lashing out and just saying whatever, because Michigan State Twitter, we're locked in. We come defend our own. So I don't know. Overblown situation in my eyes.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think the overblown situation is true.
You're also in the NIT.
I am in the NIT. So there's a couple different elements to this. I'll try to be quick, and then we can actually get to talking about basketball. But I think one, what I tweeted that seemed to piss people off was the interaction with DK, and the context I feel a lot of people are missing. Maybe it's just people that don't know me or don't follow me, but if they don't know me or don't follow me, I don't really know why they chose to insert themselves in the conversation like they do know me or follow me and make judgments about my personal character. Anyway, you're missing the context of like DK and I are friends. I consider him a very close friend within this content world that we are in. Like, when you are someone who puts yourself on camera a lot, good and bad, to say stupid things and say smart things, like it's a choice you make, right? I have to know that whenever I do something or say something, there's gonna be people that want to attack me. That's fine. That's not a new thing. But like, that's one of the reasons I like and respect DK a lot, is because like DK knows his basketball. He knows his niche. He's the best at what he does for Michigan State. It's why we've brought him on the show a bunch of times. Like, I have probably texted David Klein, among others, almost daily for the better part of 2 straight years. Like, we may disagree and we may try to make content out of how we disagree. And last night was not us trying to make content. Last night was a disagreement that played itself out on Twitter. But I feel like a lot of people are just missing the context of like, I like DK and we are friends, and whatever I say on Twitter or whatever he says on Twitter doesn't really change that to me. I said this to him privately, but I will just say it publicly. Like, I think the 2 tweets that I tweeted to him that people took so much exception with, one of them was I said the kid's been sitting on this for 3 years, to his tweet about how talented Michigan is and how little they got out of it this year. And it seemed like both DK and a lot of people took exception to the word kid in that. I still don't understand what everyone's so upset about on that one. Like, kid is a pretty endearing term in my vernacular. I'm pretty sure I've called you the kid like thousands of times. Like, look at the kid go. Like, kid did it again when you do something good. Like, that's just sort of how I talk. I talk about my high school friends for years like that. So if anything, that to me was a term of, again, I'm friends with DK, calling him that. Obviously, he didn't take it that way, and I don't think anybody publicly did. The next one's probably the one that is spicier, and I don't necessarily know that I would take it back. I did apologize to DK for it because I understand how this can be construed very negatively. And it opened with something that was just like, I wish I could say you're better than that, but you're not. I think a lot of people, and I don't even blame them for it, a lot of people interpreted that as me attacking his character, when in reality, truly, no bullshit, what I was trying to attack was his basketball statement. Like, you're better than that, as in, you know, basketball better than that, is what I was trying to say, to pin it on like this Michigan team is some uber talented team that didn't achieve. That was what I was trying to get at, is like, you know damn well Terrence Williams is like a 30-minute guy on this team. And I disagree there. So that's a conversation for another day. I shouldn't have been stoking the fire the way that I did in the moment, but I did. And that quickly turned into something else. Like, honestly, credit to DK. He didn't even really stoke it much. He replied once, and then a lot of people decided to jump in, and I don't know if they were fighting the battle for him or if they genuinely hate me, or I don't know what, but it definitely turned very personal. That happens. I don't blame anyone if they want to take whatever they want out on me. If they want to celebrate my face and make fun of a Michigan fan who looks stupid, they have all right to do that. Everybody has a right to do anything they want on Twitter. But yeah, I was pretty surprised of just how sour it got. Like, there was some like 50-year-old woman who literally DM'd me like 10 times being like, did you go to Michigan State and you're a Michigan fan? What does that say about your soul? I'm like, I don't know. Like, I've told my story a lot on here. I don't hide from anything about who I am as a person in content. I understand people might not like me for that, but it was pretty baffling. So I will say, just last thing on it, shout out to a lot of the Michigan State fans who did reach out and say nice things to me. I think a lot of people were responding to the one dude who called me a Purdue fan and said a lot of complimentary things, which was much appreciated, by the way. But I had probably like 10 Michigan State people just like reach out to me directly and be like, hey, this is really crazy, and I'm sorry it's gotten so sour, including guys who are in the group chat with me and DK, like Dan and Matt, both like reached out to me in various ways, and that's much appreciated. But yeah, there are certain other prominent members of Spartan Twitter that I don't have a personal relationship with, but we have interacted a lot on Twitter, that really seem to have a problem with my character now, even though they don't know me. And that's the disappointing one. It's not like the Twitter eggs who aren't even real people. It's like prominent Michigan State people who aren't DK want to claim like DK hates me. And then I text DK and we're totally fine. So just interesting. If anything, I've learned, like, watch my words, be careful, especially when Michigan State is winning and Michigan is losing. And man, I hope I didn't really personally offend anyone with some horrible character by two sour tweets. So that's my final statement, Cart.
That was very well put, Gregory. And I want to end that statement by just saying that, yes, Greg does have some biases. I think that's obvious. He's a fan of a team that is against this other team. But the dynamic of this podcast, the dynamic in talking about Michigan State basketball, he knows ball. He can talk Michigan State basketball. He watches Big Ten basketball. That's what kind of makes this pod what it is. I have seen some other tweets talking about like how you have a Michigan fan like on this podcast, the Unscripted podcast. I think it's what makes it good, to be honest. Otherwise, it's just an hour of me and another Michigan State just, I don't know, slappy, just going back and forth about how great it is. Sometimes it's good to actually break down and talk about it and get it from another viewpoint. And that's exactly what we're going to do right now, because we're going to move on to the Big Ten tournament. As I stated earlier, Michigan State is locked into the 4 seed. On their side of the bracket, they have Purdue as the 1 seed, so they'll play this Friday in Chicago. We will actually be at that game, and they are going to play the winner of, let's see, as they're going to play the winner of the Iowa and the winner of whoever wins the Ohio State and Wisconsin game. So they're gonna be playing a team that has already had a game under their belt. They get that double bye that, I don't know how I necessarily feel about it. I guess it's good to get a double bye. Some, might say you don't want to play a team that's already rolling, I guess, like kind of coming into that game, but they also might be tired as well. There's 2 different kind of ways you could look at it. But just to get your thoughts on, what do you think about Michigan State as the 4th seed in the Big Ten tournament and kind of what their, quote unquote draw is?
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see Iowa again so quickly, just because Iowa to me is one of the few teams in this league that, like, it's not necessarily about what you do to Iowa. It's just like if Iowa shows up. Like when Iowa goes full Iowa, I don't know that there's anything anyone in the conference can do. Case in point, the last 4 minutes of the Michigan State game. Now, I don't expect them to shoot that nuclearly again away from home in this setting, but they also did last year when they made a huge run in the Big Ten tournament. Like they were the story at that point. So, and some of the guys on this team were big parts of that. Like Chris Murray was playing great. Patrick McCaffrey was playing great. So we know there's a proven track record of Iowa doing well in this spot. I have my eye on that as a matchup. Like that'll be a really fun game to watch, Iowa against Michigan State. I think it's great you got the double bye. I remember we were in Purdue and we were talking about this, and my comment to you was like, that's great. Like if y'all want to win the Big Ten tournament. And like, I didn't mean that as a troll or anything. It's just like some teams come in with like a very clear, like, we need to win this tournament. That's what we're here to do. And then some people are just like, we're here to stay healthy. Like, I think Michigan State's out to win this tournament this year. And I think Izzo's comments on senior day kind of echo that a little bit. He talked about the lack of banners they've had the last couple of years and how he thinks this team genuinely really has a shot. And I agree with him, for the record. So it's a good draw for that purpose, for sure. You only need to win 3 games. The path is pretty much Iowa, Purdue, whoever comes out of the other side, which is a lot weaker, in my opinion, the other side of the bracket. But that's still a favorable draw that Michigan State can do a lot with.
Yeah, and you know what, I'm kind of torn on it. I do agree with Izzo's comments about wanting, win a banner, win kind of, a title per se, a trophy, I guess you would want to call it. But at the same time, like for me, I don't really know what there is to get out of it besides that banner. Like I think I'm really bad, admittedly, at the listen, hear me out here. I'm really bad, admittedly, at like bracketology and seating type things. But from everything that I've seen so far, I need to tune into more Field in 68. That is mostly on Field 68 channel. Go check that out. But I think the highest that they can get if they win a couple games is like a 5 seed. And originally coming into this, before this last stretch, I was like, do everything to get off that 8-9 line. That's all I wanted to do, was get off that 8-9 line, avoid like a second round matchup against a Kansas or something like that. That's what I wanted to avoid. We put ourselves in that position by having a stretch of good games and winning games here. And I think we have another good opportunity to win that first game. And then I wouldn't be upset if our guys got the rest. Like we are a team that depends heavily on basically 4 or 5 guys. And outside of that, there's a huge drop off with the bench production on this team. So would it be great? Yes. Do I want more miles on Tyson Walker and Joey Hauser and those guys going into March? No, I don't. I want those guys to be as fresh as possible.
That's a really fair point, and I didn't look at it that way, and I think you're right in that. If your goal is to go as far as you can in the NCAA tournament, I don't know that winning 3 games in 3 days is what's best for you. Although winning 3 games in 3 days is a lot easier than winning 4 games in 4 days. So I'm less worried about that there.
I just feel like a loser saying that too at the same time. You know
Yeah,
how I feel
that's
about
my,
that.
my
That's the kind of a loser mentality. I
well,
know,
my
but
counterpoint to you is like, dude, a banner's a banner. Like,
yeah, I
I
know.
don't know that one, the Michigan State program, who it is, which has been built on hanging banners successfully, is in a position given the last 3 years to say like, oh, we don't really want this banner. Like, no, y'all need a banner. Like, and this team can win a banner. And if we're being honest about it, the banner this team can win is this banner. Like, yeah, you can make a run in March. That's for sure. I'm not saying Michigan State can't make a Final Four, but it is significantly easier for Michigan State to win this tournament in the draw they're in right now than it is for Michigan State to make a Final Four and get outside of the Big Ten in a year where the Big Ten was historically weak. So I would push back on you on that. Like, I don't think you should be thinking about next week, this week. I think you should be trying to win the Big Ten tournament. And I think you will. And I think you have a great shot at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think we truly do have an actual great shot to win the Big Ten tournament, and that's a couple factors in that. One, you already spoke on it. The Big Ten conference, like, it just is what it is. It's a big log jam in my eyes. We had a bunch of things go our way this last game day to even get this 4 seed locked up. We had the likes of Nebraska going into Iowa on senior day and beating the Hawkeyes as 11-point underdogs. Like, that's absolutely crazy. I mean, every single game that's a matchup here. Like, I could see a world where Ohio State wins 2 games. We end up playing Ohio State that first game. Like, I could see a world where, I don't know, maybe Wisconsin gives Iowa a game. I don't think Iowa is going to be automatically etched into that next game to verse us. So it's going to be interesting to see. And then if we get to the point where we do win our first game, and who knows, we might get another Michigan State game. We really might. A desperate Michigan team playing Purdue. Who knows what happens? I really think it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. I don't know if I mentioned it already, but we will be in Chicago for the Big Ten tournament. So I'll be very excited to see these games. Michigan State travels very well and it has a very good like fan base in the Chicago area as well. So obviously other Big Ten teams do as well, but I think Michigan State has a pretty good one in its own right. So it'll be interesting at the United Center playing really good basketball. It's starting to scare me a little bit that we've talked to a couple people. We actually just got done hopping on Heat Check's Hangout podcast, and everyone was picking Michigan State to win this, and that kind of scares me, and I don't know why. Like I think we thrive more as an underdog team, but the proof's in the pudding. This team offensively right now is playing like one of the best offensive teams in the country. You got 3 or 4 40% shooters. Joey Hauser shooting close to 46% from three. Jaden Akins the last couple of games has been shooting around 45%. And Tyson Walker has looked the makings of a guard that makes a legendary run in March. So if you told me at the start of the season that's what we'd be playing right now and those guys would be playing extremely well, I'd be ecstatic. So I guess you could mark it up as a happy Michigan State fan at this current point. And I don't think I'm wrong for feeling that way.
Not at all. You absolutely should be ecstatic. I mean, I think this is a feeling you and your fan base should crave and should sort of feel you've earned. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't really think the last 2 years really have carried any sort of significant belief. I think there's always been a hope of like, oh, Izzo can flip a switch, or like maybe Aaron Henry can carry us there. I don't know what the thought was last year necessarily, but this year's team has a lot more than that. And it's because of the steps forward Tyson has taken. It's because of how good Joey's been. It's because of the way Jaden Akins has raised his game in the last couple of weeks. It's because right now they're getting good AJ Hoggard again. That's been in and out. And right now it's back in, which is really awesome for this team. So I think there's a case cart. I'm not just saying this. I think you've been the best team in the Big Ten the last 3 weeks. That includes Purdue. Purdue has basically been a 500 team the last 3 weeks and has lost a lot of games they shouldn't lose. The jury's kind of out on how to beat them, pressure their guards. Michigan State, to me, has not lost a game in which they have been outplayed in a long time. Like the Iowa win, Michigan State was awesome. The Michigan win, they outplayed Michigan pretty much the whole game. And it's been consistent at this point. The shooting is not something I expect to go away. Maybe they're not making 60% of their threes every game, but there's levels to shooting, man. Like there's guys in this league like Jaden Hood-Schifino and Jalen Hood-Schifino and Kobe Buffkin you're like, oh, you're kind of worried about them shooting. Like, well, they're shooting like 38%. Yeah, they're good shooters. And then there's dudes who, like, if you leave them open, it's in. And most teams maybe have one guy like that. Michigan State has 3. It's crazy. It's really special. And if I liked the other 2 positions more, I'd be in a really serious spot about picking this roster to potentially compete for a national title. I still think the 2 spots I don't like are going to hold them back from doing that. But in the Big Ten, that doesn't hold them back from anything, because you don't need to be elite nationally to win this Big Ten. So I'm looking forward to watching them play. I'm looking forward to seeing them in person. We've seen them in person a lot this year. They're one of the more fun teams to watch, for real, even though I root against them all the time. Like, I'm not going to knock how good they're playing right now. And like you said, man, especially for Tyson and Joey, you want to see those dudes go out as winners. You really do. Like, Joey Hauser's whole story at Michigan State is one that needs to have some sort of redemption to it. And it has, just by how he's played individually, but it would be really, really cool to see Joey Hauser like on a podium in a champion's shirt at some leg of his career at Michigan State. And I think he deserves that with how good he's been.
Yeah, and if he doesn't get it this year, he could always get it next year if you
Well,
want
isn't
to.
the thing Joey can't come back though? I thought the truth was Joey can't come back, or at least has
Is
made it
it?
like so clear he's not going to come back.
I mean, I think it's pretty clear he's not coming back, but I think that he can if he wanted to. I think.
Okay. I know he had like a red shirt mixed in, and isn't this already his 5th year?
So I think he had the red shirt year, but I still think that he has a COVID year.
I thought the
I
red
think.
shirt canceled out the COVID year, but I
Does
don't
it? Okay.
I
Yeah,
don't
it
know
might.
that for sure though.
Yeah. I mean, who really knows the college basketball this year? But let me ask you a
One more
question.
year for Tyson though.
Oh yeah, need it.
Can we talk about that after the break?
We can, but I can I ask you a question first though?
Of course.
Okay. So I know that backcourt is probably the most popular answer kind of for what the X factor is for Michigan State. Outside of the backcourt, what do you think is the X factor for Michigan State to kind of make a run? Let's look more for like in March, like for the big tournament. What do you think is the X factor for the Michigan State team
Outside of the backcourt?
outside of the backcourt?
Center. Do they have anything playable at center at all?
See, I would go a different route because I think the X factor is Malik Hall outside of that. Because I think that Malik Hall, if we can get consistent play out of him, I think he can cover up some of the deficiencies at center.
I don't hate that. I don't know. It's weird that I'm like more out on Malik Hall than I am the centers right now, but I kind of just am. I haven't liked what I've seen from him in the last month.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I think he's still not 100%. But at the same time, I think Malik Hall's career has kind of been a 2-game good, 1-game bad, or 1 good game, 2-game bad. It's never really been consistent. It's always a roller coaster. But if he can find consistency just for however many games we're playing, I think it will cover up some of the center deficiencies. But to credit to Tom Izzo, I've liked how he's handled the center rotation as of late. I think he's done more of not just throwing Mahdi out there for 25 minutes, like penciling him in for 25 minutes no matter what. I think he's done a better job of maybe throwing Kohler in there, seeing what he can do. Carson Cooper had a little bit of nagging ankle injury, but at the time he was throwing him in there and seeing what he could do and kind of maybe rolling with the hot center at the time. So I do like the strategy of kind of how he's handled a dire center rotation situation currently.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I mean, Izzo's been overwhelmingly good this year, if not great. I have not had complaints really with how he's done anything this year, which is crazy. You know me. I think I've been pretty consistent with that in these episodes too. Like, I haven't really been very critical of Tom. Tom hasn't held this team back at all the way I thought he did the last couple seasons.
you sound like a true Michigan State fan, Greg. I think
Hey,
it warms me a little bit.
Hey, I am supposedly a fan of roughly 11 teams in this conference. So enjoy it while you got me, because I got to move on to another one soon.
Well, as a Michigan State fan, there has to be a situation where you have your own personalized Michigan State debit card. And are you looking for a debit card built specifically for Michigan State fans like you, Greg? That you need to know about fan cards. They've got Michigan State prepaid MasterCard that gives you chances to win tickets to not only Michigan football, but also Michigan State men's basketball games as well. Plus, you can snag Michigan State MasterCard gift cards for family and friends too. All you got to do is visit myfancard.com to learn more and use referral code SCRIPT when you sign up. That's myfancard.com, referral code SCRIPT, and order the ultimate prepaid card for true Michigan State fans today, like yourself, Gregory. That was my first unscripted ad read.
I gotta say, did you just do an ad read on me?
Yeah, I did.
Where did that come from, my friend?
I don't know. You know what? You did such a great job with transitions, and I really couldn't find an opening right there, but I had to take that baby one. So I thank you for giving me that little opening.
Hey, I'm just impressed right now. I'm bewildered. I have no idea where that came from. I didn't even know that you were out getting us ads for Unscripted. So look at the kid go, Cart. Look at the kid go right now.
Hey, we got 40% 3-point shooters on the court, and we got a 45% 3-point shooter hosting the podcast as well, both from the court in men's league and also in the ad field. Just know
hey, you know what they say, Cart. Those who stay will be champions. And I stayed on the pod, my friend. I stayed on the pod, so I may be a champion. I don't know. You
know, when you're pulling out whiteboards and Bo Schembechler quotes, that's when I decide to do our wrap on this episode.
It's done?
I'm sorry.
It's already done?
I mean, you're killing me with that. You really are.
What did I do there?
We don't do Bo Schembechler quotes on this podcast.
We definitely have not ever done that, but I mean, it was said on senior day. I'm just throwing that out there. It's a Michael Scott reference. It's a Michael Scott.
Do we have confirmation of that?
Yeah, we do.
We do. Okay. I got to see that. What team actually you already said this. You think Iowa poses kind of the biggest threat out of those teams that can play it?
I want to do the Akins thing. Can we do that or no?
Oh, my apologies. I skipped over that. Yes, we can do the Akins thing. Go ahead. You can take it away first.
Well, I guess I'll ask you for your genuine thought and opinion, because we've sort of danced around it privately, but I don't think you and I have actually gone in depth about how we individually feel on it. So the Akins thing that has become the Akins thing is another Twitter, I guess, I don't know. I stirred the pot, right? I guess Tom Izzo was seen doing the one more year chant for Tyson Walker. He essentially, in the senior day ceremony, which is such a cool tradition, by the way. It's like one of the most heartwarming things that there is in college basketball. Michigan State has won 17 straight senior nights. Ridiculous. And, I've been at many of these. Like there's different ways Izzo speaks about different guys, right? Like Izzo's a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve. He says what he wants. He's not worried what people think of him. And that's why a lot of people love Tom Izzo. And I've seen him do the one more year chant thing before. He did it for Josh Langford back in the day. He's done it for other guys. I was not expecting him to do that with Tyson Walker in the moment. Not because Tyson Walker's been bad. Tyson Walker's been awesome. And I've said this multiple times. If you can get Tyson Walker back, you do everything in your power to get Tyson Walker back next year. I am advocating for that. What I'm shocked by and what made this a Jaden Akins thing for me is I can't believe Tom Izzo led that chant on senior day for the whole arena in front of Jaden Akins. Because the truth of the matter here is I will be genuinely shocked if all four of AJ Hoggard, Tyson Walker, Jaden Akins, and Jeremy Fears are on this roster next season. There is not enough ball to go around. Whether or not you think there is, whether or not you think these players don't care about it, they do. All these guys want NBA futures. The only one who actually has one is Jaden Akins, and he's coincidentally the one guy who has the ball in his hands least in this group. And he's been great in his role. Jaden has not caused a problem. He's shooting the lights out. He's playing fantastic this year, and he's still not close to NBA draft boards. And you and I both believe he could be. It's not Izzo's fault. Like, you have to have the ball in Hoggard's hands. You have to have the ball in Walker's hands. That's what's best for this team to win. So I'm not blaming anybody here, but I am accurately discussing the fact that there's a huge logjam at this position. And I think it's pretty accurate in saying if Jaden Akins wants to get where he wants to go personally and what he's capable of doing personally, he's not going to get there unless he has the ball in his hands. more than he has in his role right now. And if Tyson Walker left, he would have that role. And I think he would thrive in it at Michigan State, and they'd be awesome. I don't know that they'd be better without Walker, but I know Jaden Akins individually would show a lot of things he's not showing right now if he was given the opportunities that Tyson Walker's been given. So all that said, I mean, I put the tweet out that just had a screenshot of Michigan State's transfer portal class with a line through it, essentially saying someone's going to transfer, given the fact if Tyson Walker's back, I think someone's going to transfer. I didn't say Jaden Akins, but I think someone of those 4 guys will not be in a Michigan State uniform next year. Do you think that that's an accurate read by me? And if it were you, how would you handle the Michigan State backcourt going into next season?
Well, before I get on that, I want to comment on the Izzo saying the 1 more year thing. I think you got to realize that Tom Izzo is a guy who's not on social media. And this right now is a social media rumbling. Like there is, like me and you know, there is obviously some truth to it. But I truly believe that I don't know if Izzo is truly thinking about Jaden Akins not being happy or wanting to go to another role next year. I don't believe that. So I think when he's doing that, he's kind of just in the moment. It's a cool thing for Tyson Walker, and we do want 1 more year of Tyson Walker. I just think that he's not necessarily in that situation thinking like Jaden's unhappy. And
I don't even think Jaden is unhappy, for the record.
Either. I don't think he really is. Like, this is a thing that's really like just spiraled. Like there is some truth to it. I truly do believe that not all 4 of the guys that you mentioned can be on the roster next year if certain guys want to get to where they want to go. And I'll touch on that shortly. But what I'm saying is I don't think we can criticize Izzo for, chanting 1 more year for Tyson Walker on Tyson Walker's senior day when it's about Tyson Walker. It's not about anybody else but him in that moment. I do want to say that.
I think that's fair. I don't know that I'm even necessarily trying to criticize Tom Izzo here more than I'm just saying I'm surprised that's how he went about it. Because to me, I wouldn't be doing that unless I know in good faith Jaden Akins is coming back and he wants Tyson Walker back. And maybe
he might think that though.
Right. Maybe that's already been discussed behind closed doors. And if it is, then I'm being an idiot here. But like I said, the one thing I just adamantly believe, and it's a personal belief, we'll see if I'm right or I'm wrong, is there's no way these 4 guys are going to be on the same roster. I just don't think that's going to happen. I just don't see it. Like if AJ and the truth here, Cart, is the biggest problem is AJ. It's not other guys. And I know I'm very critical of AJ on this show, and AJ's been so good the last 2 weeks. He really has. He takes this team from the level that's like middle of the pack to the Big Ten to when AJ's playing well. Now I'm saying they're the best team in the Big Ten. If he does that every game, I give him the credit for it and I give the team praise. But the truth is that AJ Hoggard has to have the ball in his hands. You can't play basketball and be a good team with AJ Hoggard on your team in 30 minutes a game unless the ball's in AJ's hands all the time. So, like, if Tyson Walker wasn't there, I don't think that would bother Jaden that much because he'd still get some secondary stuff. But now when you've got 2 guys that are that ball dominant or as ball dominant as AJ is and just as good as Tyson is, I don't know what you do with Jaden. And I think even there are Michigan State fans who like see the point here and kind of are just like, yeah, but like Jaden hasn't really shown it with his handle. Like, how are you going to give Jaden more of an opportunity when his handle's been what it is? Like, my point would be like, I think his handle will look a lot better when he's given the ball to handle more. Like, I believe Jaden Akins can do it all, man. I really do. And I just think it would be a shame individually to not see him do it more. And it's a great thing for Michigan State. Like, if Izzo can keep everybody happy in these roles, like what a miracle job he's done. But I am hypothesizing that won't happen. I don't think there's any chance all 4 of them are on the same roster. And you're not, like, Fears is going nowhere. Fears is going to be on the team. One of those other 3 would need to be the guy who's not. So if the first decision is we want Tyson back, then I don't know what you do, man, because AJ doesn't have anywhere to go. Could he portal? I don't think he would unless he was kind of like nudged, like, hey, you might want to You're not going to play the same role next year. And then Akins, I think I just think if they tell Akins, well, yeah, you're going to play the exact same role again. I think Akins is kind of like, are you kidding me? Like, I gotta be 21, 22 before I actually get to be a primary playmaker. So I don't know, man. I know what I would do. I don't know if we want to go into what I would do, but I think what I would do might be what Tom Izzo might do in the offseason.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think that it's not necessarily any bad blood between Jaden and like Tom Izzo or Jaden in Michigan State. It's just like he wants to play in a role where he could see himself being a next level player. I think he believes he's a next level player. I think other people believe he's a next level player, but he's not a next level player as a 6'3" small forward who does spot up 3-pointers. And even like if you brought him back next year in the same role, but you're like, I'm gonna throw you off more pin downs. That's great. Like that's cool. Like maybe take all the pin downs we did for Joey Hauser and run them for Jaden Akins, but that's still not putting him in the role that he wants to be in or the role that he's going to have to play to be at the next level. My kind of situation solver, problem solver method for this would maybe be put a bug in AJ's ear that his role will be reduced. Like we have something in Jaden Akins. I'm not saying he's a backup PG, but I might be saying he's the backup PG. And you have Jaden Akins and Tyson Walker as your starting backcourt, and you have AJ Hoggard as your backup point guard. Does that work? I don't necessarily know. I don't see AJ going for that, but it's something I would kind of put a bug in his ear and see how he felt about that and then go from there. But I do agree with the fact that all four of those guys can be on the roster next year. Not all four of those guys can be on the roster next year if their roles remain exactly the same that they are currently. That's my final answer to that.
It would also just be unprecedented, which I guess is probably why Michigan State fans throw the best backcourt thing around so much. But like adding a guy as talented as Jeremy Fears and keeping those three and playing them all is something like probably only Baylor has done when they had the three superstars and Flagler was coming off the bench behind them. I don't know. I don't think it's realistic. I just don't. And my solution would be the same as yours, although it would be a little harsher. I think, I mean, Izzo's not ever going to do this. It's not Izzo. But is he, though? As much as Izzo's a program guy, and he loves his guys who stay and the seniors and the veterans, he always gets the best out of them. Izzo's also smart enough to read the situation. And I also don't think Izzo loves obviously he loves AJ. I don't think AJ is Tom Izzo's favorite player he's ever coached. I'll say that. So if it got to the point where Tom had to essentially choose one, I think that Tom is much aware of the fact that it would be better to have Walker and Akins and go forward like that and maybe have 2 more years of Akins than it would be to go all in on 1 year of Hoggard and Walker. Again, rich man's problems. Both those backcourts would be good. If you have all of them, obviously the backcourt will be good. But even to your point about hey, AJ, you might need a smaller role. Regardless of the Akins part of this, we're kind of hoping that happens with Jeremy Fears anyway, right? We don't really want AJ playing 35 minutes next year. We want Jeremy Fears getting 20 at point guard. So that's tough, man. We've seen
20 might be a lot.
It would be a lot for a Tom Izzo team for sure. But I also think Fears might be good enough to warrant that genuinely.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, if he's good enough, I'm give him his minutes. But I'd be surprised. But like you said, I think it's a rich man's problem to have. It's kind of annoying talking about it, I guess, so much. Not necessarily because it's not gonna happen or can happen. It's just the fact that our backcourt's playing so well, Jaden Akins is playing so well, and the narrative is what are we gonna do next year? Obviously we got to talk about it. It's being talked about in other circles, but I'm more so going to pull a we'll worry about that, or we'll cross that bridge when we get to that point, or whatever phrase it is. I'm kind of at that point with that right now, but it's a very real thing. That don't get it twisted.
Yeah, we're not just making that up. Like, I know there definitely is vibes of like, or just people have said, Michigan State Twitter has said like, oh, it's these Michigan accounts are just trolling because they're angry. I don't think that's accurate. And I think you, speaking for Michigan State Twitter, also have heard and have seen things that it's accurate. Like there's
it is. It's not fake. It's a very real thing.
yeah.
That needs to be addressed at some point. But we'll worry about that after we make our March run, because I think this team has a run in them. I think we will get it. Obviously, we're going to get another episode once we get past Selection Sunday, kind of see the draw, see where we're at. But I'm excited to get to Chicago. Excited to watch this team in the Big Ten tournament. I think it'll be it should be a fun one. Do you have a handful of Big Ten pennants right now?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Don't let people get a screenshot of that one. Don't give them ammo, Greg.
I give them enough ammo as is, my friends.
You do. Do you have any closing thoughts before we get out of here?
I'm trying to find the Michigan State banner and it's not here. I don't know if that's a good or a bad
I
omen.
think I took it.
It's the only one missing. So
really? I thought I took that one and the Illinois one.
Actually, yeah, Illinois is not here either. So there you go.
Okay, yeah, I got them both.
Maybe that means that's the future Big Ten tournament championship. I don't know. Did you ask for prediction? Is that what you said?
Yeah, prediction on where Michigan State's how far they're gonna go in the Big Ten tournament.
Okay, I feel bad because we just did the heat check roundup pod and essentially did this. So anyone who listened to both of these, sorry, you're just hearing redundant stuff now. But I can't believe I'm saying this, Cart. I pick Michigan State to win this tournament. And I mean that. I'm not doing it for content. I'm not doing it for whatever people are probably going to claim I'm trolling or whatever. I don't know. This will make all the people who told me to kill myself so happy. But I think they're the best team in the Big Ten right now. I don't think if every other team played up to their ceiling, I think Michigan State's like 6th in the conference. But nobody else is playing their best ball at all right now. Purdue included. Indiana just laid a giant egg. Go up and down the conference. I don't think anybody is playing consistently well the way that Michigan State is right now. And I think it really bodes well. I love the guards. I like the matchups here. Like, I think you can get revenge on Iowa. And then I think you're looking at Purdue. And I said this on the heat check. I think your guards will make Purdue's life hell right now with how those guards, Smith and Lawyer, are playing compared to what Hogard and Walker and Akins are playing. So I like y'all, man. I think it's about time. It's about time Izzo got something back up in the rafters. And I don't think it will be the NCAA tournament for this team. I do think it will be this tournament for this team.
And I know that we talked about that on another podcast. The only reason I brought that up is because I wanted you to say it again before I end the episode. I'm not even giving you my prediction because I know we already made it. Michigan State's going to win it, I think. So for the Unscripted podcast, I am your host, Carter Elliott, as always, with my co-host, Greg Waddell. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave comments, whether good or bad. But don't be too mean to us. We have feelings, I'm emotional. But we love to watch that stuff, love to hear that stuff, love to see that stuff, all that. If you're going to be in Chicago for the Big Ten tournament, slide in our DMs. We'd love to meet up with people, see fans of the Unscripted, all 7 or 8 of y'all. It'd be pretty cool to see you. So, hit us up, and we will be back to talk Michigan State after the Big Ten tournament.
And if you've never shown your face on camera once in your life, you're not allowed to attack my personal character and or say I don't deserve a platform. Enjoy the Big Ten tournament, Cart.